as we get set to go back out to Glendevere Golf Course in Portland, Oregon. As we welcome you back to Glendevere Golf Course in the Portland metropolitan area, where the golf superintendent will be back to yeoman's work putting this course back together in a part of the country where you can play golf pretty much year-round, which is quite a nice reason that there's so many great courses here in the region. 55 degrees on the warmer side of a December day. We've seen a lot colder conditions over the years for Nike Cross Nationals. The rain is at bay, though it will be coming through later on into this evening, and that will have more of a major impact for the Masters races that will be staged on Sunday morning. In fact, they're moving through these races so fast because they only have so much daylight left in the day, and the last couple of under 20 races are going to be pushing into the late stages of the afternoon. As you see the look from the vantage point of Glendevere off to downtown Portland, and a host of runners, some of whom just competed in that 10K, and also many who competed earlier in NXN sticking around to watch the elite races on the women's side as well. As we'll welcome back in as well, Carrie Tollefson, twice a member of Team USA's World Cross Country team. I read here you also ran in something called the Olympics, which is pretty cool. We'll talk about that later on if you'd like, but really focus now on what it means to make a Team USA squad for World Cross Country. And on this women's side, Carrie, it is certainly going to be, as we've often said with the Olympic trials, kind of toughest team to make sometimes.
Yeah, we have a number of NCAA champions that range from 2023 to 2016 back. We have a number of USATF cross-country champions. But I think the highlight of the day is to see Weini Kelati come here. She's made her last two World Championship cross-country teams. She finished fourth, though, this year in both the 5,000 and the 10,000 meters on the track. She's had this great season on the road. But now we're going to see how she does back on the grass. And I think after seeing her run the Manchester Road Race, winning her fifth in a row, she looks really good again.
So still a few minutes away from the start of this women's 10,000 meter final at the USATF Cross Country Championships. As our attention turns back to the start line, you see the final stride outs for the athletes here. And, it's a combination too, Carrie, of, some of the best elite athletes in the country, but there's a lot of team and clubs represented here in full force. It's kind of nice to see them also participating in this national championship. We actually technically score this on the team side as well, so there's some bragging rights, and that's another way to, kind of judge the relative success of some of these teams. And some teams like, Timberline AC or the Bowerman Track Club, which is now more the group of kind of Nike employees that run cross country as well. So, there's some bragging rights for some of those scoring as well.
Yeah, Galen's team, Swoosh TC, they won big, but on the men's side. But yeah, when we were running back in the day, it was a big thing for the shoe companies to have this big competition. And we used to run out in Portland and different places, but I think it's really fun. I wish that we would do more of that, just to get everyone together and to have this team. We have the club championships. That's usually a little bit earlier in the year, but this year it's not. The USATF championships were before club. But yeah, it's a fun way to get people together.
Yeah, just looking down some of the club names that we don't normally mention at some of these cross-country championships. Crown Running, Front Range Elite. Got Santa Barbara running and racing in full force. Of course, Team Red Lizard we have heard a lot about. Timberline AC that I had mentioned earlier, along with some of the bigger name teams and brands that are in familiar territory for these kind of national championship level races. Hanson's Brooks always bringing out a strong squad as well. But right now, the focus of attention for this being a selection event will be those top six across the line who would be afforded the opportunity to be on Team USA's squad at the World Championships in January.
Yeah, it's something else. It's a very quaint, kind of small group that gets to go to the World Championships, and you do really become quite a family on that trip. So yeah, I think that these ladies just, I hope they have the best time out there racing and go out there and give it their all.
With downtown Portland in the distance, here are some of our favorites to talk about, though you leaned into Weini, Kelati, Fresky's story early on here in our preview. But you also got Carissa Schweitzer and Shelby Houlihan, fresh off an appearance at the World Championships. We know her as a very strong cross-country competitor.
Yeah, sounds like Shelby Houlihan wants to make every U.S. team that she has now from here on out after her break. And she definitely is showing that she has every intention of winning, which she did here. She won the USATF championships in 2019, but Carissa Schweitzer, I just at the NCAAs, she loves cross country. She hasn't run a ton of it in her pro career, but she was sixth this year in both the 5,000 and the 10,000, had a disappointing track season, but is coming back and feeling good. So hopefully she has the day that she wants today as well.
And Galen, you were mentioning it, you kind of have to make some tough decisions as you get into your pro careers. There are only a handful of, the Helen O'Bearys of the world, the Bekeles of the world that seemingly were able to go off of every conceivable terrain and continue to do it throughout their careers. So you can appreciate what Carissa's saying. Love to do it, but I also got some other priorities as well.
It's tough, and especially when the schedule doesn't really dictate that you got to run cross country a lot. When you're making your money on the track, that's what you're going to focus on. But I'm really excited in this women's race to see such a contrast in styles. Weini, Kelati, you've got more of the road racer, great at half marathon, super long distance. Carissa Schweitzer, pure 5K, 10K athlete. And then Shelby Houlihan coming from the bottom, more of a miler, 5K, but super powerful stride and has had great success in cross country. So it's going to be fun to watch how those different styles come together in this race.
And Carrie, we can't not mention a couple of the younger athletes that are out there, including Parker Valby, who's kind of back and healthy in a new training situation, and Caitlin Toohey back in very familiar territory. She won 3 NXNs during her amazing high school career, and she's towing the line, trying to make the U.S. squad now on that very same course.
Yeah, you can't count her out ever. I mean, she's had her injuries, but she did run 15:04 last year, not quite at the top of her game where she felt that she was ready to roll, but she still is there. She's still got it in her, and I know that she's going to have fun going back on this course where she won 3 times for NXN.
And Carrie, sometimes it just takes, I feel, one big race to kind of get yourself back and go in somewhere where you've had success. It's familiar to you. Hopefully this is a race where you see Caitlin Toohey start to bounce back and recover from all those tough years of injury.
Well, and one thing that Caitlin Toohey and her training partners like Ellie Hennis, who's back as well after having some lung issues and surgeries, but they have this old NC State group out there for different teams, but they are fired up to race with one another again.
As the gun is fired, the crowd welcomes the top women in USA cross-country running in 2025 to race for a spot on Team USA as the women's championship race is underway over 10,000 meters here at Glendevere Golf Course in Portland. And we'll keep an eye on the group here as they get squeezed down to that narrow part of the start funnel at the first few hundred meters of this race course. You can already see them trying to find ways around some of those parts of the course that standing water and certainly with the conditions of the course going into today with a very steady rain on Friday, there's a lot of what we would describe as muckiness throughout this course now, Carrie, as they have 30 minutes of racing ahead of them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were saying they were excited about the mud. That was something they were looking forward to as we watch Emma Grace Hurley kind of take it out strong. She's at half marathoner right now, but she did really well on the roads last year. Not surprising to see her out there. But there's so many names, Paul, in this group. Danny Jones, she is very excited to be back on the grass, although has not run this far on the grass. So that she's another NCAA champion. We have Edna Kurgat right there in the middle, who's also another U.S. Champion, but also an NCAA champion. I mean, there's just a lot of names. There's a lot of depth in this women's race.
Also saw Allie Ostrander's name there, another former Nike Cross National champion who is out here competing. We see Parker Valby in the middle of the picture right behind Weini Kelati. as they work into the early stages of this 10,000 meter distance. We'll have splits at the kilometer point as well, but kind of pressing the pace from the front now early as this group works its way out of the course. You see the gator flying up mud there as that chase vehicle tries to stay out of harm's way and keep that mud away from the runners who are, going to stay to the inside here as they take the shortest line. But I think on some of these kind of wider stretchers or straighter stretchers, again, we're starting to see them try to look for any place on the course side to side where they can get some solid footing.
It becomes more and more crucial, especially as the day has gone on. We've had a lot of races run. That footing becomes all the more critical for them, these athletes. And we talk about 10,000 meters running on cross country. Energy conservation is such a big deal, and it's a real thing. And so anytime you're not slipping, anytime you can just relax into your stride, feel the ground, get that energy back is huge, especially later on in this race.
And Carrie, you mentioned Parker Valby. Great to see her back. And, of course, a couple of years removed from her dominant season in 2023, both in cross country and on the track. Surprised she's putting herself in a position here to race cross country. She's been working her way back from injury. This is not exactly the safest place to be, testing yourself, but at the same time, I know she's uber competitive, and so if she's feeling ready to run, she's going to be ready to run at any point, at any time, on any terrain.
Well, she wrote to me and she said, I genuinely love cross country. It's a fun challenge. It breaks up the training. And regardless if you're coming back from an injury or not, breaking up the training is sometimes what you need more mentally than physically. And she's a racer, Paul. We know that. When she's healthy and she's firing, she races quite a bit. I mean, remember how many miles she ran over the NCAA championships a couple years ago? She just is one to get in there. She looked really good at the 5,000 or the 5K in New York right before the New York City Marathon. She has that. She's got that focus, that fire in her eye again, and you can't tame a wild horse, right? I mean, get her out there and let her go.
And Carrie, you mentioned that she's had some trouble with injury. It's so great to see her back out competing, but one of the things that Parker Valby's known for is all the cross training that she does on top of her running. She doesn't necessarily run as many miles as all these competitors, but if there's any athlete that is going to have confidence in cross training and know that they're fit coming off of injury, it's Parker Valby. And it's great to see her back out there. She's back up in the front where she likes to be, pushing the pace. One question that I'm really interested to see as this race unfolds, Parker Valby in college destroyed everybody. She loved front running and was able to get away from athletes early. As she transitions to the professional ranks, how is she going to do when the quality of the field is higher and she's not able to necessarily run away from people early on?
We're 5 minutes of racing into this
Galen.
women's 10,000 meter championship as Emma Grace Hurley continues to lead here. Weini Kelati, Parker Valby, Edna Kurgat all among the leaders here in front. As we look down that list of leaders too, Carissa Schweitzer after 1K back in 10th position. Shelby Houlihan in 15th. Danny Jones back in 17th. And the reigning champion, now trying to defend her championship, Carrie Elwood of Asics Mammoth Track Club is back in 19th position, but just still a couple of seconds off the lead as this group is pretty tightly together, Carrie, through the first almost 2 kilometers of the race.
Yeah, they all look really good right now. But Galen, I was just going to piggyback off that. Parker Valby, when you are a cross trainer like she is and a runner, I mean, she's able to use that heaviness that an arc trainer, an elliptical puts in your legs. It's almost like getting on the bike, right? You just build those quads up, those glutes up. And that is something that's going to help her over her longer distances, but also here in a mucky, kind of gross situation that they're having to run in today. But looking on the far right of your screen, there's Weini Kelati. She is so good. She's set the American record twice now in the half marathon. Everybody's waiting for her to tackle 26.2, but this woman loves this right here. This is what she really loves, the 10K distance, and she really loves the competition. She gets hungry every time she toes the line, and she's able to have these hard kind of dog fights, right? She's in there and she's fighting for position, and she wants that win so bad.
About 13 women through 2 kilometers near the front of this pack as we reset the field. You see that athletic course tracker carrying them away from the 2nd kilometer split and on to the 3rd. Valby was technically the leader there, but she's relinquished that lead back to Emma Grace Hurley at 2 kilometers. As they went through in 6:28.5, 3:14.3 on that last K. Still Kurgat in 4th. Emily Venters has now moved up strongly into 5th position. And Katie Izzo standing in that 6th and final qualifying position through 2K as she came through in 6:29.3.
And you see right there going through a rough part on the course how there's big gaps that occur really quickly because people are trying to avoid the mud. Some people have a better line, and these things, there's positioning can change so quickly in cross country that the course is just really going to play a bigger factor, I think, the longer and longer this race goes.
And Carrie, does that become taxing over time because everything there's no place to just settle and kind of regroup and put the mind at ease because every step now is one you're worried about, and particularly on these stretches here where they're making some of these turns?
Oh, for sure. And if you're in the middle of the pack and you can't get out and you just got to plow right through it. But that's the thing. You have to take advantage then of the dry spots the more. And we actually saw that in the men's race. We saw when when Parker Wolf went for it, right? Like he was on those drier portions of it. He went for it. He had good footing and he got out there and he really let it rip then. And that's what these ladies have to do, regardless if they're going right through it during the muddy sections or if they are on a dry stretch. They have to use that to their advantage. But right now, I mean, watching Emma Grace Hurley, she looks good. She's dictating the pace up front, kind of going where she wants in the race. I think the one person that I would be watching a little bit is Katie Izzo. Katie Izzo is the one in the hat there. She is very good in cross country, and she's the one that runs cross country more than anyone out there, maybe besides NC State's Grace Hartman, who's in, 8th or 9th right now.
Yeah, we saw Schweitzer move back up into that lead group now. She's back there in about 7th position. They come off this hill. You see Ali Ostrander coming off the hill right now. Shelby Houlihan in the all dark is a little bit back of the leaders now, trying to get herself back into this. Good news is there's still a long way to go. Meantime, we got the researchers trying to figure out if there's ever been a U.S. championship won on both the men's and the women's side by a person with the first name Parker. We'll get back to that here in a moment. But right now, she was the leader through 2K. Coming up on the 3K here shortly, but is still a very strong group with Emma Grace Hurley showing a lot of confidence, which has really developed over the last couple of years as she has blossomed, particularly on the roads.
Yeah, she did. She was runner-up at USA Cross Country in 2024, and then, she's just been awesome over the half marathon distance and just really showing her strength there. She just came off of running 68 minutes this fall in her half marathon, so she said she's feeling good, she's ready to roll, but really was just looking to have a fun day out there, and to run with that kind of lightness and energy is really something. I mean, that's what brings people together, and they really wanted this hard competition, and so you see that today.
So coming through 3K now, Emma Grace Hurley back to the lead, 3:27.9 through that last kilometer. Schweitzer up now near the top. She was 2nd. As they make this climb up the hill, Kelati perfectly happy with letting other people lead right now, Galen. She is another savvy runner and has seen all kinds of race tactics and doesn't necessarily need to lead. And with so much longer left in this race, it just seems like, why would I lead at any point?
That's a great point, Paul. And Kelati, you mentioned she's sharp right now. We talked about the lack of experience sometimes for some of these pros at this point in the season, coming off a track race. This is maybe the first race of the year for them. Kelati's run in New York. She was 2nd at the dash to the finish line, as Carrie said. She won the Manchester Road Race, which is a big Thanksgiving Day race. So she is race ready and absolutely has no reason to lead right now. Just wants to sit back and conserve energy. One name I also want to mention there who's hanging on at the back of that group is Elise Stearns. And she's a great cross-country runner. Ran at NAU, 3-time All-American. And I think she might be someone that can surprise people. We know Mike Smith and that Swoosh TC, who Elise Stearns trains with, they love cross-country down there in Flagstaff. And she has that pedigree and really likes running on these tough courses. She knows how to grind it out. And she's putting herself in contention to make this team going out and staying with this lead group.
I like how Carissa Schweitzer looks right now, Galen. You know her very well from just training with her and racing with her, but she just seems to be very springy. She's covering moves. She's getting herself right back up front. She knows the 10,000 meters probably better than anybody out here, but she also has that great 1,500 meter speed as well. She has such range, and she's also very good on the grass. It has been a little while since we've seen her.
She's been battling injuries, and it's been tough. You know, she had Haglund surgery, and that's a tough surgery to come back from. So it's great to see her back up there, and I agree 100% with what you said. Her range is a big weapon. Being able to know that she can sprint at the end, having that great 1,500 meter speed, knowing she can grind it out with her 10,000 meter background, and I really love the way that she's been running. She's been staying out of trouble. She's been sitting in the middle of the pack, conserving energy. She's a seasoned vet. She has a great cross-country background from her time in Missouri, there winning the NCAA championships. She knows what she's doing, and she knows at this point we're still so early in this race, only 3,000 meters in. She's just got to sit back and bide her time, let this pack work itself out. A lot of these athletes are going to just fall off the back as the race goes on. So as long as she stays up there, sitting back, conserving energy, she's going to be in a great spot.
Yeah, I agree. I also really like how Edna Kurgat looks right now. You know, she has been here before, and she has won a U.S. cross-country championship. She's been to the World Championships, but she's been racing a bit too. She just ran a 10K on the roads in Miramar, Florida, but she told me her motto for this race is stay strong and stay courageous. And she looks good. She's right now back there. You can see her in the Army uniform. She's just kind of been hiding out, just letting it come to her, and not really touching the front, just watching what's going on in front of her.
And unlike the men's race, there's a big pack of women here. You know, the men's race, pretty early on, there was a group of about 6 that separated themselves, and that gives you a lot of confidence and the ability to relax as an athlete when you're in that qualifying position. These women can't say the same right here, and they've got to stay on their toes, ready to cover any move, given that there's 9 athletes there in that group.
A little over halfway to go in this women's 10-kilometer U.S. Championship for a spot on Team USA at the World Athletics Cross Country Championships in Tallahassee, Florida. And now Weini Kelati at 4K has decided to push the pace here with Izzo and Kurgat covering that move. But then there's a group of 5 now. And a reminder, only the top 6 will qualify for Team USA. So things getting very interesting in that sort of second grouping, looking for spots 4, 5, and 6. And if you're in front now, you know, trying to stay with the pace that Kelati is now putting into this race, it's kind of risk reward. If you got to stay with her, you got to commit to it now.
Yeah, all 3 of these women up front have been on the World's Cross Country Championship teams before, and they know how to grind through this tough part of the course. This is where you got to stay awake, stay alert, and stay in it. But Katie Izzo up front right now, she is the one that I said she's got a lot of cross-country experience. She ran a number of races in 2023 overseas in cross-country, and she loves it. She said this is her favorite sport, or her favorite discipline of the sport, and was going to give it everything she had, kind of like go big or go home.
You saw Kelati take a big look over her shoulder just to kind of gauge whether this press of pace has made a difference in breaking it open. We can see now from high above it, it's most certainly done so, as there's a nice little gap there back to 4th position, which I believe, well, now is not Carissa Schweitzer, as she's been passed, and she's now in 5th position. You got Emily Venters back there, Parker Valby still in the mix, but they're beginning to feel the pace quicken here. It was 3:27.3 on that kilometer split from kilometer 3 to 4. We'll get a 5-kilometer split when they make that left turn to the west side of this course, as Kurgat has gotten back into contact with the leaders.
Yeah, you can see Weini Kelati almost take a look back just to see if they have built a bit of a lead, and they really have. Those 3, Emma Grace Hurley there coming up. But Venters, as you mentioned, she is one heck of an athlete, Paul. She's a 14:58 gal. She just ran that last year, but then she ran the Chicago Marathon, really struggled with some stomach issues, and actually finished the race, which you got to give her credit. She ended up, I think, being in a medical tent for about 23 minutes or something like that, but she wanted to get through that finish line and do it for her sponsor, which is Nike, and that is the sponsor of Chicago Marathon. So she's back, and she's ready to roll. She was 3rd at the Manchester Road Race just last week as well with Weini, and she was excited to be here.
And that marathon fitness doesn't leave you. As hard as it is to have those disappointing races in the moment, sometimes those can be such a great motivating thing. And to build on all that great marathon training she's had, she could be in a great spot here at the USATF Cross Country Championships.
Well, Edna Kurgat's not going to show up on the timing, Matt, because she didn't run over it, but that was not because she was trying to get herself around the rule book here. It's just that Matt only went so far across the green part of the course, and she was trying to stay out of the mucky part of the race course. So she comes through. She's in third. Izzo 3:18.8 on that last kilometer carry as they've really tried to turn the screws on this course.
This is typical Weini Kelati. This is exactly how she likes to run. She turns the screw, and she likes to feel the pain herself. That's what she's told me in the past. She's not afraid of hurting. She's not afraid of getting out there and making everyone work for their position. She really does a great job with that. We have seen that she's human. She's had some ups and downs in the last year, but when it's clicking for her, it really works.
And we see Parker Valby in the distance. She's listed now in 7th position as we've added Kurgat back into the standings here. She loses a little bit of ground once again to Kelati and Izzo, who were the ones that kind of moved this pace a little bit. You can see they're kind of in the midst of these little minor ups and downs in the middle part of the elevation tracker in the bottom of your screen before they hit those quick spikes and the big climb and the big fall into the final few kilometers of this race as they cover 10,000 meters at this championship distance, and Izzo and Kelati are side by side as they make the turn.
Weini Kelati just looks so comfortable to me still running. She looks very relaxed, very in control. She's been in this position before, knows the tactics, and in her race sharpness from having run some of these road races, she looks unbelievable right now.
Yeah, she really does.
See
but
that
Katie
turn
Izzo
becoming
looks
a
good there
little
as
bit.
well.
Yeah, that danger carry is that turn now is getting very slick.
Yeah, you definitely have to be smart about that. But as I was saying, I think Katie Izzo looks great. She too, Galen, has now focused on getting into the half marathons, and she did run her first half marathon where she ran the Valencia half, and she ran a PR, it wasn't her first, but she did run a PR. She ran 69:37, and she said she wasn't real happy about it, but her training's there. So she was waiting for an event to put it together like we talked about at the start line. Like, when is her big day going to be? And today it looks like she's having a day.
And sometimes that's all it takes as an athlete, to just keep showing up. You've got to trust, as you said, Carrie, that training is there. It does not leave, and it may not always manifest itself on race day, but the more you keep showing up, the more you keep going back and having confidence and going over all the work you've done. Sometimes it just takes one race to put it all together, and that's a springboard for a great rest of the year for you.
Looking as that field gets deeper and deeper with the live results, mentioning that a couple of former NXN champions are in the race. Ali Ostrander is now up in 11th position. Caitlin Toohey is working her way up another couple of places between kilometers 4 and 5 as she is up into 15th position. But now the leaders momentarily coming up and through the 6-kilometer split. And have just come through that. And again, Kelati spending a lot of time looking behind her. And, part of that is just kind of making sure that, you maybe put away the one thing you came to do, which is to make the team, and then start to focus on a potential win at the finish line against Izzo. But Kurgat not out of it yet, but just kind of running a solo effort right here as Izzo continues to look for the safest part of the course to race alongside Kelati.
And Paul,
Yeah,
it is shaping up to be a
pressure
heck
on
of a
here.
I was going to say, Paul, we're having a heck of a battle shape up for that 6th and final qualifying spot for the USA team. There are 4 athletes that are right there within striking distance of each other, and there's only one spot there at that 6th place. So top 5 are starting to separate themselves a little bit, but let's keep an eye on that 6th and final spot.
Yeah, Kerry, just about 8 seconds between 6th with Hartman of NC State, and then down to Stearns in 9th position, and it's even closer with Venters just a 3 ticks of the clock off that 6th position. So that battle behind the 2 leaders is going to be watching it as well. And here now, Emma Grace Hurley, Carissa Schweitzer, and Grace Hartman. Another one like Rocky Hansen with, good training under their belt coming off of a long collegiate cross-country season, but that paid dividends for Hansen. It may, too, do as well for Grace Hartman as she's in good position right now.
Yeah, Grace Hartman has to be one we talk about. She's only 21 years old, but she was 6th at the NCAAs. She, too, has such great track times. 14:58. She was runner-up in the 10,000 when she ran 31:22 last year. I mean, this girl has so much. She's also a 4:06 gal. I mean, she is so good. But as we're watching here, Weini Kelati just digging around those turns, really kind of slingshotting off of them now. And she's hugging those flags on the inside and powering her way through. She looks really good here, Paul.
Yeah, this last 400 to 600 meters, Galen, she has, and I actually thought that Izzo was making, kind of a smart move. Get out of that mud, try to stay on some surer ground, but I think Kelati just proved that you can go right through it, and as long as you got the right amount of momentum, it's not going to stop you.
And that's the question all these athletes are going to face on every single one of these turns they're having to navigate. Do I go wide and keep my footing better, or do I run the shorter distance? Because as you saw with Kelati around one of those last turns, she was able to put a good second, quick 5 meters on Izzo there in second just by running the tangent. But the trade-off to that is that she is going through the mud, but her legs just look so strong. Her stride is so powerful. That mud is not deterring her one bit.
Well, you can see the Gator falling back to that second chase pack, which is now a group of 4. Again, there are 3 women ahead of this group. So with Parker Valby losing a little bit of traction, she's back there now in 8th position. We've got quite a battle for the remainder of Team USA's squad for the World Championships here with a little over 3K to go.
Well, you can see now Weini Kelati's using those. Go ahead, Galen.
I was going to say, this is the point in the course now where it really starts to take a toll on you. When you're tired, you've been running for a long time, you're still quite a bit ways out from the finish line, and having to navigate through all that mud, this is where your strength comes into play. You've got to be able to power through that and continue when you're dead tired and still having to be on uneven ground.
And you see Emily Venters has moved up into 6th position now as Emma Grace Hurley comes to the other side of the race course. But it looks like Venters' carry is full of run right now as she's moved past Emma Grace Hurley and has her eyes firmly fixed on the back of Carissa Schweitzer.
Well, this has to be, Emily Venters has to be pleased right now. She said she's been doing okay since Chicago. Her knee was a little bothered. She felt a little bit overtrained. She's been trying to just get her mind right coming into this event, and she looks like she's got it right where she needs to be, right on the shoulder of Carissa Schweitzer. Carissa looks really good still as well. I mean, this is a battle here for the 6th position, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, so these 2 in front here, Schweitzer and now Venters moving up. She's now in 4th for the moment, Schweitzer in 5th, and so Emma Grace Hurley and Grace Hartman are in battle for that last 6th and final spot on Team USA's squad. Parker Valby doing everything she can to try to stay in this, but she's running a solo race right now, hoping some of these women come back to her in the final couple of kilometers.
You can see how hard Weini Kelati is working to get up those hills, though, right now. She really was digging deep. She almost crunched together. You could see her arms weren't moving real hard. She put that big move on. She might be paying for it just a little bit, but now on this downhill stretch, she's starting to really open up that stride and get back into her rhythm.
As you see on that elevation tracker at the bottom of your screen, that big climb, but will also, after the crest to the plateau, will afford them a chance to maybe regroup a little. And we'll see in that bottom screen who takes advantage of that downhill to a greater degree in the competition for these places, where Schweitzer now in 4th, Venters in 5th, Hartman now in 6th, and Emma Grace Hurley Needs to find something in the tank here in the latter half of this race because she's losing ground on Hartman and that 6th and final spot on Team USA. Meantime, Weini Kelati is in full flight, Carrie, as she continues to lead here.
I like how she looks. She now has kind of regrouped, got through those hills, and I think now she's going to really let it rip. But watching Katie Izzo right behind her, she's having a big day. She looked really good, and for her to go toe-to-toe basically right up front with Weini Kelati, she really put it out there early on, and it's paying off for her.
And look at Kelati fly down that hill trying to stay in control, Galen, and combined with that, those conditions on the course, you've got to put some trust in that momentum that you can stay in control and not take a step that you regret.
You want to lean into those hills. You want to use that momentum, but it gets really tricky when the conditions are slick and it's dicey. And you're seeing Carissa Schweitzer now and Venters go down that hill. They've got to be careful because one wrong step, or if your spikes are jammed up with mud from running already for 7,000, 8,000 meters, your traction isn't as good. And you got to be really careful going down those hills.
So you see Schweitzer didn't appear on the timing apron here, but obviously is ahead of Venters in 4th position. So that moves everybody below her down a spot, meaning Hurley is in 7th, Hartman is in 6th, and Venters in 5th position. We keep an eye on that group behind. Emma Grace Hurley, I think, is just going to get passed by Hartman again here as they battle for that position in 7th, which would be the one who would be able to go if somebody above in the top 6 elects not to compete at the World Cross Country Championships, which is not altogether unprecedented. We've got to wait till those decisions are made at the end of the race. Kurgad doing a great job running Carrie all by herself, but you start to feel like Carissa Schweitzer's the one who's got the momentum after Venters had it for a kilometer. Schweitzer now really looking strong and maybe taking a look and a shot at getting back into contact with Kurgad.
Well, Schweitzer knows how to close. We all have seen it time and time again. When the last mile of her races, she really turns on a switch. But regardless, she's in it right now, and she looks good, and she's got to be happy with that after all of the ups and downs she's had. But look how tight. I was trying to look at her shoes to see if she had taped them on. We used to tape our shoes in this heavy kind of mud, and I can't quite tell. Maybe you can see it a little closer there, Galen, knowing those shoes out there. But, it's just interesting to see how these athletes look in the mud, the later stages of 10,000 meters of running in it.
Yeah, the mud just builds up on the bottom. I can't tell if she's taped them either. I know that's a common thing that a lot of athletes do, but you do start to lose traction. I know a lot of these athletes will put long spikes in, especially running on a golf course here. I would tell them to wear 1/2 inches or 5/8, as big as they could find, but the more you run, sometimes you can get clogged up with mud and you start to lose a lot of that traction that the spikes give you, and makes it all the more dicey when the footing's bad.
So the runners returning to where they started here in a moment, to the start chute as they work their way into the closing stretches. They'll cross over 9 kilometers here with Weini Kelati in the lead in this USATF Cross Country Championship, and would, if leading at the end, be the national champion and the first member selected for Team USA. Katie Izzo trying to make it a race. She's not gotten too far away, not to think that she's got a chance to close that gap, and still laying ahead, of course, are those climbs to the finish line. So let's see what Izzo can do here in the last kilometers. They've gone through 9K and 30:21.4, 3:29 on that last kilometer, and the difference right now is less than 3 seconds, Carrie, between first and second.
Woo! Katie Izzo's keeping the gas on right there, and you can see how hard Weini Kelati's working. She has that grit on her face. She's moving her arms as hard as she can. She does take a look here or there, but she is still very focused, and she still has a lot left in her. You can see that. She knows how to win on the cross-country courses. We've seen it in high school, we've seen it in college, and we've seen it as a pro, and she's been to the World Championships, so she wants to get back there.
And Carrie, 6 races into this. I did misspeak. That distance is not 3 seconds, actually double that. It's closer to 6 seconds as you see that official result through 9 kilometers. Kerr got there in third, just trying to hold on at this point, Galen, to make the team. Schweitzer getting herself a little bit ahead of Venters now, and Hartman in good control of that 6th and final spot.
Yeah, and priority number 1, you said it, make the team. Watch your footing, be a little careful. It's okay to be a little extra cautious. I keep going back to Wesley Kiptoo in the men's race, and you saw how just one bad step or you hit the mud just at the wrong angle with your foot and you can go down. And that would be absolutely catastrophic for any one of these athletes in a qualifying position right now.
See Parker Valby and Ali Ostrander on the bottom of your screen. Valby now in 9th position through 9 kilometers. Ostrander in 10th. The defending champion, Carrie Elwood, is in 12th position, so still running a very strong race, trying to defend her title, but well back of the leaders now. Weini Kelati Fresgi is in control of this women's 10-kilometer U.S. championship as the clock nears 32 and a half minutes as she's in the closing stretches of this championship run.
Well, this woman is so good on the track. She can run well under 14:45 for 5K, and she did it this year after missing the team in both the 5,000 and the 10,000. She's great on the road. She's an American record holder. She's awesome on the grass. Everyone loves watching this woman race, and she has definitely showed us why. She's the class of the field today.
And taking a couple of deep breaths as she now reaches the terraces of the first of 2 climbs to get herself to a plateau. Katie Izzo now in view of that first of 2 climbs, solidly in second. You can tell they have taken everything from this course and pushed it all back, and no one has pushed back harder than Weini Kelati Fresgi as she is now in isolation in the closing chute. Izzo now comes into view. These will be the first 2 members of Team USA, but Weini Kelati with another look back, and now the finish line in sight, celebrates a U.S. title in 2025 as the cross-country champion. And now the race for the other spots. Izzo. We see Hartman come into view in the back spot, so Izzo with a big smile. She's donning red, white, and blue once again. She finishes as the runner-up. Kurgat's going to get back to a world championship in cross-country. Carissa Schweitzer. And then Venters and Hartman. And look at the reaction there from Grace Hartman. Yep, your cross-country season's going to be a little bit longer as she gets the opportunity to represent Team USA. The rest of the field coming through fast and furiously. Elise Stearns, Ali Ostrander with a great run today here at Glendoveer. Emma Grace Hurley winding up in 9th position, and Parker Valby. Great run for the former NCAA champion as she will finish in 10th in this U.S. title. And the champion from earlier this year coming across the line there, getting congratulated by Ostrander, Carrie Elwood, finishing in 11th. But Carrie, Weini Kelati, just like we said with Parker Wolf, going to lead a very strong team of Americans, this time on the women's side, to go after some hardware in Tallahassee in about a month.
Yeah, I mean, she looked great, and I think that she knows that she is one of the veterans now. You know, I still think of her as pretty young, and she is, but she's been there, done that a number of times now. So has second and third, but then we have some younger athletes that haven't made a team like a Grace Hartman. She knows how to win with her team, NC State winning as a team. She's done very well herself, but this is the first time she's going to get to go and be on a team where she runs for the USA with these older women that have been there before. So it's really an exciting team, and Weini Kelati just really had a master class of how to keep the pressure on. She really did not falter at all. There was some pain on her face, and you could see it in her body, but she hammered through.
And too, it is an amazing arc for Weini Kelati. Thinking back to her time as Oregon is always going to have a special place for her. As a teenager, she made the life-altering decision after competing at the World Junior Championships in Eugene to remain in the U.S. and eventually working her way into being an American citizen. So coming back here to the state of Oregon and winning a U.S. title only 100 miles away from where she made that decision has to be something that weighs on her mind, but in a very good way, as that decision has proven to be a good one for her and certainly for her athletic career as she wins the U.S. Cross Country Championships here in 2025. The rest of the field coming through fast and furiously here as we wind up what is yet to be called the last race of the day. Still the under 20 races to come here in short order, so stick around with us if you're wanting to watch well, I guess if the NXN folks, Carrie, were the newest generation, and this is the current generation, what do we call the U20s? The middle generation? Are they the middle kids here of our racing day?
Up and comers. Let's just say they're the up and comers.
Up and comers. A lot of collegians racing in those under 20s, as there also is an under 20 competition at the World Cross Country Championships. But as we look back on this replay, let's start with you, Galen Rupp. It was Emma Grace Hurley really making this race honest, and we talked about the patience being shown by Weini Kelati, but there was obviously a race plan. I want to take control, and when I do, I don't want anyone else around me.
I think Weini Kelati, Carrie said it was a masterclass today. She really ran unbelievable from start to finish, sitting back early, letting all those early moves happen. But when she decided to go, it was game over, and she had a plan and measured it out perfectly to the finish for really a dominating victory.
Well,
One of the things I love about Weini Kelati is, I was just reminded from David Monty, actually. He sent me a text. She's going to go and run the mile in Honolulu in a couple weeks, or the Maui Mile, excuse me. So, she does a little bit of everything. She's working on all of the different aspects of her run to be the best Weini Kelati that she can be, and you can see that. She has the turnover. She has the strength. She has the mindset. She's very good, but she is very focused on being the best, and not just in the U.S., but in the world.
So as we watch those final runners come to the finish line in this women's 10-kilometer USATF cross-country championship, we see now the top 6 finishers from this race, all afforded and will be handed their ticket to Tallahassee should they wish to continue their cross-country campaign into the new year. Kind of an unusual year here, Galen, as we had actually 2 U.S. championships in 2025, with the usual kind of January's been kind of the common place for that on the schedule, but moved up obviously this year for the selection event for, as you can now see, the ticket to Tallahassee for this great group. Grace Hartman, Emily Venters, Corsa Schweitzer, and Kurgat, Katie Izzo, and Weini Kelati. And Carrie, another great mixture of, some familiar faces and some maybe some faces that folks weren't as aware of coming into this race day.
Yeah, I think you look at an Emily Venters, who a lot of us know from the track, but then she's made her way over to the roads and doing some different events there. She does a lot on the U.S. circuit. But yeah, she is such a true talent in America, and it's really fun to see that she's able to run all sorts of distances. I don't know which one is her best. She ran indoors last year. She now is running cross. She runs on the roads, but it's really fun to see her put her nose in it and go for it. So we have a great group of athletes going. Hopefully we hear that they're all taking that opportunity, because it's going to be a big one. And we were at Tallahassee not too long ago for U.S. championships, and it was really fun to see the course. It's a really hard course, and I know they had NCAAs there too, so a lot of these athletes know the course.
Now, there is one person technically who doesn't want all 6 of them to go, and that's Elise Stearns, who finished in 7th on the kind of that, if not able to compete, would move up, and so we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, those top 6 obviously are the ones who get that opportunity to decide for themselves as we watch these final runners come to the line in Portland. So let's check in with Keenan Gray, who's with our winner, Weini Kelati.
Thanks, Paul. 3 times now you will be representing the U.S. at the World Cross Country Championships, Weini, and it's on U.S. soil for your 3rd time. Just express, the gratitude you have after winning this race and now going to represent the U.S. in Tallahassee.
Ooh, I'm so excited. I'm basically over the moon because I thought that last year was gonna be like my last cross country race, but when I heard it's gonna be in the US, I was like, why not to lead the Team USA, go there, show them we can do it. That's why I was gonna do half marathon in Houston. I skipped that. I came here to make the team. I'm so happy that happened.
After making the Tokyo Championship team, so how do you kind of recollect yourself and regather that focus and try to get back onto the world team again?
Well, I guess that's the way how running is. So I'm not a big fan of the track. I try to put myself in there because if I can make the team on the track, I can make the team out of the track. So I challenge myself to make the team. I got 4th, which is the most painful place to be every year. I think that's my 3rd time getting 4th. I don't make the team. I was really upset after the race, but I get used to it. I know how to get back. I know how to bounce back after a bad race, and this is it.
There's a mixture of veteran talent, people that have experience at the World Championships like yourself, but also, Grace Hartman was just at the NCAA Championships. What can you say about this particular group that we're going to be sending off to Tallahassee?
Wow, we were sending an amazing group. I know this course was going to be hard. When I see the mud, the hill, and I was like, this is a real cross country. If I can challenge myself and put myself in a good position in this course, I'm ready to go. And I see everybody working so hard. I see Grace taking it from the beginning, and everybody else was following. I said, let's go. I see Katie side by side with me. I was like, let's go, Katie. We got to help each other. And I could push myself. I was so happy after I won the race.
Congratulations on the win today. We'll see you in Tallahassee.
Thank you. I'm very excited. Woohoo! Let's get Team USA.
Yeah, making that decision to try to become a U.S. citizen, it is, you can tell, it means a lot to her to be able to, again, represent the United States, and this time on home soil. It basically changed her arc of training for an entire year.
And that's what struck me listening to her talk right there, is the pride she gets from representing Team USA. It is so refreshing to hear that. She is so excited to lead all these girls, a lot of them newcomers, and what a great opportunity for them representing Team USA for the first time to be able to learn from someone like Weini Kelati and get that experience on the world stage. Hopefully that can springboard them to bigger performances on the world level in the future.
And just as it did, meaning a lot to the runners who finished first across the line, like Weini Kelati, some of these athletes now just coming through, the opportunity to, as you can see, with Team Red Lizard waiting for some of their teammates to cross the line, and a little bit of camaraderie here in the midst of the competition for some of these more amateur clubs that are here racing in a U.S. national championship. And that is also the beauty of these open events, is you get all kinds of runners here just trying to do their best.
You're not just in the same course, you're in the same race as these professionals. And it's really cool to me, too, to still see how important the team aspect is of cross country. You see them waiting, cheering on their teammates. They've been training together day in and day out. They know what the trials and tribulations and what each of these athletes have gone through, and what a big accomplishment it is to cross the finish line.
Well, the good news is they make pretty good strong hot coffee in Portland, so people can get warm, maybe even a hot chocolate if they would like, and have a chance to tell some stories about what they experienced out on a very challenging 10,000 meter course here at Glendoveer. The last few runners coming to the line in this U.S. Women's Championship.